What if everything you've been told about coincidence is a lie? What if those random moments, the repeated numbers, the person calling just as you thought of them, the song lyric that hits at the exact right time, aren't accidents at all? For your entire life, you've been conditioned to believe that some things just happen, that it's all chance, randomness, probability. But deep down, haven't you felt otherwise? Haven't you had moments that felt too precise to be accidental? Glimpses of something intelligent woven into the ordinary? It's time to confront the truth. These aren't coincidences. They are messages, clues, markers from something greater trying to reach you. This isn't about superstition or wishful thinking. This is about seeing reality as it truly is, alive, aware, and constantly communicating. The question is, are you finally ready to listen? The buried instinct, remembering what you already knew. You weren't born blind to meaning. As a child, you noticed everything. Patterns in clouds, shapes in shadows, strange timings that made you pause. You felt wonder without needing an explanation, sensing things without being told. But over time, that instinct was buried. Bit by bit, you were taught to stop believing in things that couldn't be measured. You were told there's no such thing as a sign, that seeing connections where none objectively exist is just a glitch in your brain, a bias, a flaw, something to correct. School taught you that the world is made up of hard facts and solid rules. Science, they said, only works through cause and effect. If you couldn't prove it in a lab, it wasn't real. And so, you stopped trusting the moments that whispered something more. You stopped asking why certain things happened at just the right time. You stopped looking for meaning in what you couldn't control. And yet, the signs never stopped showing up. The same numbers, the same names, the same themes repeating like hidden code written into the fabric of your life. But when you brought it up, they called it coincidence, and you believed them. Because belief isn't always a choice, it's often a byproduct of survival. In a world that punishes strangeness, it's safer to stay silent than to sound crazy. Safer to bury your questions than risk standing out. So, you learn to wear the blindfold. You learn to trust logic over intuition. You learn to silence the part of you that still sensed something more. The system you were raised in thrives on predictability. It needs you to follow a script. Stay focused on what's visible, provable, monetizable. If you wander off into mystery, if you pause to reflect on something that can't be quantified, you become harder to manage, and that's a problem for them. So, they taught you to shut it down, to stop trusting the deep alignment you occasionally felt, to laugh off signs as accidents, to scoff at synchronicity. They told you it's just your brain playing tricks on you. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't tricking you. It's trying to wake you up. You're not imagining the patterns. You're noticing the code. The quantum connection. Science meets spirit. For centuries, science and spirituality were kept in separate rooms, one dealing with facts, the other with faith. But in recent decades, that wall has started to crumble. At the center of that collapse is quantum physics, a field of study that ironically sounds more mystical than anything you'd hear in a temple. Because when you peer into the very fabric of existence, when you zoom in past the atoms and into the quantum field, something extraordinary is revealed. Reality is not solid. It's not fixed. It's not even local. It is fluid, interconnected, and deeply responsive. In other words, everything spiritual traditions have been whispering for thousands of years, science is now beginning to shout. One of the most important ideas in quantum physics is non-locality. The fact that two particles, once connected, can remain in sync no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But spooky or not, it's real. Change one particle, and its pair responds instantly, even if it's on the other side of the universe. There's no signal, no delay, no physical link, just instant correlation that breaks everything we thought we knew about time, space, and separation. And it opens a door. If particles can communicate across vast distances, why not people? Why not thoughts? Why not consciousness itself? Synchronicity begins to make more sense in this light. When two seemingly unrelated events happen with meaningful timing, they may not be unrelated at all. They may be entangled, not by physical connection, but by resonance. Just like entangled particles, events in our lives may mirror one another, not through cause and effect, but through an invisible field that connects all things. This is where quantum mechanics and mysticism shake hands. because both suggest that the world is not made up of isolated objects, but of relationships, vibrations, probabilities, waves of possibility. You are not a fixed entity moving through time. You are a field of energy and awareness interacting with a larger field of potential. And when you shift your frequency through thought, intention, emotion, you don't just change how you feel, you change what you attract. You change what finds you. Synchronicities then are not glitches in the matrix. They are the matrix flexing. They are reality responding to your inner world, aligning variables you can't consciously control to deliver an experience that breaks your pattern of separation. Synchronicity and free will. A cosmic dance. One of the most misunderstood ideas about synchronicity is that it somehow means everything is predetermined, that if life is sending you signs, then your path must already be written. But that's not how it works. Synchronicity doesn't eliminate free will. It illuminates it. It's not a script you're doomed to follow. It's a conversation you're invited to join. Every synchronicity is a choice point, not a command. It's the universe laying a breadcrumb in your path, offering a moment of alignment, and asking, will you follow this, or will you ignore it? Time is not as linear as we've been led to believe. We think of the future as something ahead of us, the past as something behind us, and the present as the fleeting space in between. But mystics and physicists alike suggest that time is layered, multidimensional, a vast field rather than a straight line. In that field, your soul isn't just moving forward. It's interacting with patterns, probabilities, and potentials that already exist. And synchronicities often arise from this strange dance between timelines. A future version of you might be pulling you forward through signs. A past decision might echo forward, creating moments of meaning in the present, and somehow, all of it converges exactly when it's supposed to. This is why some moments feel electric. Not just important, but charged. As if the fabric of reality momentarily thinned and something deeper broke through. Maybe it's a conversation that seems to change everything, or an encounter that feels predestined, or a coincidence so precise it sends chills through your body. Those are not random. They're thresholds, points in time where your soul aligns with the path it's been trying to walk. And in those moments, you are not being forced. You are being offered. Free will still lives at the center of it all. You can ignore the signs. You can turn away. You can rationalize, delay, dismiss, and the universe won't punish you for that. But it also won't stop trying. It will keep nudging you. It will keep rearranging the scenery. It will keep placing signs in your path until you finally stop and ask, what is this trying to show me? And when you do, everything shifts. Because your awareness is the key that unlocks the pattern. Destiny is not a fixed outcome. It's a frequency. It's not a rigid path, but a resonance. When you move closer to who you really are, you naturally start to align with people, opportunities, and events that match that deeper vibration. Synchronicity increases not because something outside of you is pulling the strings, but because you are finally vibrating in harmony with your own truth. You're no longer swimming upstream against your own current. You've started to flow with it. Checkpoints and communication, the language of the universe. There are moments in life that feel like checkpoints, like you've arrived at a significant mile marker in a journey you didn't realize you were on. You stop, even if just internally, and feel something click. A quiet recognition. A strange clarity. Sometimes it's the end of a cycle. Sometimes it's the beginning of a new one. But either way, it doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels guided. That's not an illusion. That's the soul speaking through synchronicity. These moments are not random. They're part of the navigational system built into your life. If you pay attention, they'll take you exactly where you're meant to go. Checkpoint synchronicities are the ones that interrupt your usual rhythm. They often come when you've outgrown something but haven't yet stepped into what's next. A career that once felt fulfilling begins to feel empty. A relationship starts to stretch thin. Or your routines, once comfortable, now feel like a cage. You try to keep moving forward, but everything slows down. Nothing flows. And just when you're about to force something or give up altogether, it happens. A phone call, a sentence overheard, a random chance meeting, a book you pick up without knowing why. And in that moment, something inside you shifts. The sign wasn't loud, but it was clear. And for a brief moment, you remember who you are. These checkpoint synchronicities are not only comforting, they're precise. They arrive at the exact moment you need them. Not before, not after. They're timed to your soul's growth, not your ego's schedule. And often, they come with a choice, to keep repeating the familiar or to step into the unknown. The signs won't force you. They'll simply offer a mirror, a map, or a message, and the decision remains yours. But if you've been listening, really listening, you'll know what to do. What makes these events powerful is that they feel both external and internal at once. The outer world delivers something, a symbol, a sequence, a face, and it lands inside you like a revelation. You feel recognized by reality, not in a way that makes sense to others, but in a way that makes sense to you. That's because these signs speak the language of your own consciousness. They don't need to be universal. They need to be personal. That's how you know they're real. Cultivating awareness, your guide to a synchronistic life. Synchronicity isn't something you chase. It's something you notice. It's already there, woven into the fabric of your life, like a hidden thread waiting to be seen. But most people miss it because they're too distracted, too busy, too stuck in their heads to hear the subtle whisper beneath the noise. To truly experience synchronicity as a guiding force, you have to tune yourself like an instrument. You have to slow down, become still, and begin paying attention in a way that most people have forgotten how to do. This isn't about superstition. It's about awareness. And awareness is a skill, a practice. The more you cultivate it, the more the signs begin to speak. It starts with presence. Synchronicities don't live in the past, and they don't wait in the future. They arrive in the now. So, if your mind is constantly running ahead or looping behind, you'll miss them. The first step is to reconnect with where you are, not where you think you should be, not where everyone else is going, just here, now. Because signs show up in the real world, not the imaginary one you build in your head. They appear in moments of stillness when the mind quiets just long enough for the soul to speak. That's why people often experience synchronicity while walking in nature, meditating, or even in the calm after a storm. Something clears, and suddenly the world feels alive with meaning. Start paying attention to what repeats. What symbols keep showing up? What phrases do you keep hearing from different people? What dreams return again and again? Repetition is one of the universe's favorite tools. It's not trying to confuse you, it's trying to wake you up. And the more you begin to document these patterns, the clearer they become. A journal isn't just for memories, it's a lens. When you write down synchronicities, however small, you begin to see the invisible lines that connect them. You begin to track your own evolution in symbols. You begin to realize that life is not random. It's responsive. Ritual helps too. You don't need crystals or incense, unless they hold meaning for you. What you do need is a way to return to yourself. A space where you can pause, ask for guidance, and listen. Maybe that's 5 minutes in the morning with your thoughts. Maybe it's lighting a candle and breathing before making a big decision. What matters is not the form, it's the intention. Synchronicity is a two-way relationship. If you want the signs to speak louder, show that you're listening. And don't underestimate the power of asking. Ask the universe for a sign, not to test it, but to tune to it. Be clear in your request, and then let go of needing the answer to come in a specific way. Signs rarely arrive in the form we expect. More often, they come through back doors, through things we almost overlooked. That's part of the magic. You think you're waiting for one thing, and life gives you another, more perfect than you could have designed. And finally, trust the feeling. You know the one. That strange spark in your chest when something just clicks. That sense that something small means something big. That is not delusion. That is resonance. That is your inner world recognizing its own reflection in the outer one. And when you begin to honor that feeling, when you let it guide you without demanding it to explain itself, you begin to walk in alignment. Not because you have all the answers, but because you've learned how to ask better questions and how to listen for the reply. There comes a point where synchronicity stops feeling like an occasional occurrence and starts to feel like a natural state of being. Not because the signs become more frequent, but because you become more awake. You no longer need fireworks to feel guided. You no longer second-guess the inner tug that tells you to pause, to move, to speak, to wait. You've trained yourself to listen. And in that listening, a new way of living emerges. One that isn't based on control, prediction, or fear, but on alignment, presence, and trust. This is where synchronicity stops being a phenomenon and becomes a philosophy. A way of life rooted in deep relationship with yourself and the intelligence of the universe. Living this way doesn't mean you have all the answers. It means you've stopped pretending that you need them. You no longer chase certainty like a drug. You recognize that the real power lies in being attuned, in being available to the mystery. You start waking up in the morning and asking not just, what do I need to do today? But what is life asking of me today? That small shift changes everything. It shifts you from being a passive consumer of experience to an active co-creator. The story we've been told is that life is random, that we're alone, that meaning is something we impose onto a dead universe. But that story is crumbling, and in its place, something ancient and true is rising. A deeper story, where life is not separate from us, but speaking to us in every moment, through timing, through feeling, through symbols, dreams, and strange alignments, through the soft pulse of synchronicity, guiding us back to ourselves. If you want to keep living asleep, chasing empty goals, ignoring the call, of course you can. But you'll always feel the ache, that quiet sense that something is missing. But when you choose to live in rhythm with the mystery, to follow the signs, to surrender to the dialogue, you don't just find your path, you find yourself. Not the version of you shaped by expectation, but the real one, the one who knows, the one who remembers. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, I understood it. And if you're ready to go even deeper and unlock the hidden code of your reality,